Hey guys, welcome back. In the last video, we had created our treasure component and we had added to our scene. Now in this video, we are going to add our enemy component to our game. Okay, so let's hit that plus button and let's go switch back to the 2D mode. And let me just go back to the normal view mode. And again, I'm going to use the area 2D. Okay, and let's just give it a name called enemy. Okay, and let's just add a sprite, and in the same similar fashion we are going to load our sprite asset. Okay, and let me just zoom in. Perfect. Let's just add our collision shape 2D, and from here let's just add, I think for this one also, I think the box would be fine. So let's just add that. Okay, something like this. All right, so our node configuration is done. All we have to do is now go to the scene, and oops, just before that, now as I told you, this is the enemy and we have to react in other way if the player gets collided. So let's add that this enemy into a separate group, and I'm going to hit plus, and let's add a new group called enemy. And again, I want this to be added as a global group, and if this one is checked, means this particular component is there in the enemy group. And now let's go ahead and go to the scene and save scene, and let's just save it with a name called enemy. Awesome. So now we are going back to the game tab, and let's just add our enemy to our scene. So let's just say, okay, so from here the chain button, and let's add our enemy. So our enemy is added over there, and now it is been added as a child of treasure chest. I don't want that, so I'm going to drag this and leave this onto the root node in order to make a child of the root node. Okay, and for now let's just place our dragon over here. Okay, and let's just hit play. Now what we want is we want to be able to detect when the player is getting collided with this dragon. So let's do that. So let's just click this one, close this off, and actually let's go to the script. And okay, so I'm in over here, I'm checking if the area is in group treasure, and I'm emitting that signal. So if I'm going to check another another condition, elif area is in group, and this time I'm going to check for the enemy. If it is in enemy group, I am going to print for now game over. Press Ctrl S to save. Go back to the game tab. Let's go back over here, and okay, let me close this off. Let me go back over like this so that from the side you can see. So if I go over here, as soon as it gets collided, now I'm getting the game over message. So again, following the similar fashion that we did with the treasure chest, we are going to emit a signal. So let's define the signal on player died. Yeah, on player die. Okay, and so since it is going to be over here, let's emit the signal on player die. Okay, awesome. So now we have added our enemy, and we have created the proper signal for this one. Now one last thing that we wanted to do is right now you can see the enemy, I mean the dragons are basically statically over here, and what I want this is, I want this dragon to be able to move back and forth, so that this is going to act as a challenge for the player to pass the dragon on the right time, right? So let's do that one. Okay, so I'm going to go to the enemy tab, the component that we had created, and from here let's just add a script that is going to do the animation part for this one. So let's hit this plus button, and let's just go to the scripts tab, and sorry, the scripts folder, and I'm going to give this script a name called enemy movement controller. Okay, and hit create. Now let's define the core responsibility for this script, right? So it is going to handle the up and down movement of the enemy character. Okay, so this script is going to serve only one purpose, basically go back and forth. So how do we go back and forth? So basically every frame we have to change its position, so we have to do some calculations every frame, right? So we are going to use the process function. So let's use the process function, and we just want the dragon to go up and down, and we also want a certain range. We don't want the dragon to go all the way out of the screen. We want a certain range. Within that range only we want the dragon to go up and down. So let's just move the dragon first, right? So what we have to do is we have to say position dot y, and for example let's say we are going to add 1 to the y position of this. So let's hit play, let's see what happens. So now our dragon is moving down. Okay, so as you can see now the dragon has left the screen. So we have to give a maximum y range, that up to what value the dragon has to go down, and after that value the dragon needs to go back up. Okay, so how we can do? So very easy. What we have to do is we will give two uh, values. One is for minimum y range, okay, which is going to be of type float. Okay, and the other one is for maximum y range. Again it is going to be of type float. Okay, so we have defined two variables, minimum y range and maximum y range. And let's go ahead and go to the 2D tab, and let's go back to our game. Okay, and let's go back over here. So for example let's say I want my dragon to be somewhere here, and this is the maximum sorry, the minimum y range that player has to, I mean the enemy dragon character has to go up. Okay, so what I can do is I can go back to the inspector. Okay, and from here I'm going to go to the transform, and from here I'm going to note down its y position. So it is basically 95. Okay, and if I drag all the way down, I think this is fine. So yeah, roughly 260. So my minimum y value is 95, maximum is 260. So let's configure that. I go over here. For the minimum y range, let's set it to 95. For the maximum, let's set it to 260. Okay, press Ctrl S to save. Now let's go back to the scripts, and over here what I am going to do is I am going to check a condition, like if the position dot y is smaller than max y range, only then the position of y has to be incremented by 1. So let's press play. Let's try to see what happens, and now it got stopped. Okay, now there should be a way where I can send the dragon back to the upward direction, and one easy way for me is to, let's say if I have some sort of variable where if I can change its value from 1 to -1, so this particular thing gets the proper value. So for example, let me just say where, and let's say movement direction, which is going to be of type int, and it's going to be 1, okay, by default. So now I have this movement direction, and for example, if I try to, let's say, okay, so we are going to not use this. So we are going to, guys, so let's just refactor this code. Now we have defined a variable called movement direction, okay, and for the every frame, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically say that position dot y plus is equals to move direction, and also I want a variable called speed. So let's say we want move speed, but let me export this sorry, let me use this over here, because what I want is I want the enemy speed to be able to configure it from the inspector. So let's say move speed, oops, okay. So now I want this one to be multiplied with move speed, okay. Press Ctrl S. Let's see what happens, and let's go to the game tab, and let me get back to the normal mode. And for the movement speed, okay, didn't come. What I missed? Okay, I missed to add the type, so let's add the type. Now you can see it's there. So let's set the movement speed to, let's say, something like 5 maybe. Press Ctrl S to save, and now okay, it's not moving. Let's see what is going on. Let me get back to the normal mode. Movement direction, which is 1 into move speed, and its position y. Oops, I had not saved the script. So now you can see the dragon is going down. So now our direction is basically the key item, which is going to decide whether the dragon is going down or up. So for example, right now it is 1, so it is going down. So let's say if I make it -1, so now the dragon is going up, okay. So using my conditions, I just have to turn this value either 1 and -1 in order to control our dragon, okay. So that's what we are going to do next. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me go to the tab. Let's come back to this direction. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to check two conditions, and the first condition is if our position dot y, if it is greater than the maximum y range, okay, and at that point of time, if the current movement direction is equals to 1, okay. So if our y goes beyond our max range, so what we have to do is we have to set the movement direction to -1, and we have to check one more condition. Lf our position dot y is less than the minimum y limit, the y range that we have, and at that point of time, if movement direction is -1, then set the movement direction to back to 1, okay. Press Ctrl S. Now hit play, and now you can see our dragon is moving. So again, we are doing all these operations on every frame, and since we want our character, all the game components to be frame independent, what we have to do is simply multiply this thing by delta, okay. Press Ctrl S to save, and that should solve our issue, and right away you will see this speed has got decreased, so let's fix that. Let's go to the 2D viewport mode, normal mode, and from here let's set the move speed to somewhere like let's say 200. Okay, fine. So this looks fine. If our player goes over here, we'll get the signal, and right now we are not doing anything on that signal, so let's fix that in the next video.